John Stockton, 10-time NBA All-Star, of course, Hall of Famer back in 2009. His son David, playing for the Jazz, signed towards the end of the season. John, good to have you on. How are you today?
Thanks, Dan. Good morning. I'm doing well.
How are you when you're watching the game? How were you last night to be around?
Pretty calm. I mean, it's a lot easier watching from your living room with nobody watching, no cameras on you to see if you're eating pizza or anything, or chatting too friendly. I don't know. It's pretty calm at the house.
What do you look for in a game?
Boy, I think I look for things like a coach does. I look for habits. I look for momentum. I look for what guys' tendencies are. Maybe I don't know why I'm not coaching anything, but it's kind of what my MO is.
What is the position now? The point guard position. What is it now, as opposed to what it used to be, in your opinion?
Well, it's certainly changed. It seems like the point guard often is the focal point, where they're the shooter, they're the passer. I mean, absolutely everything starts there, and it's a little bit different. I mean, we had those certainly when I was playing. We had guys that were the number one option for just about everything, but it feels like there are more two guards playing one right now than there were in my day. How
would you be different if you were playing now with this point guard position?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that even back in the day, there was, like I said, there was a lot of guys. There was a lot of different ways to play that position, and I couldn't have been better being somebody else's way. I just tried to play as hard, do as what Coach Sloan or Coach Layden would ask, and didn't really put too much thought into changing. I didn't figure it would work.
I was wondering who was that first point guard that was a shoot first, pass second. You know, I always think of Tim Hardaway was one of those guys. Not that he wasn't a great passer or willing passer, but it felt like he shot first and then passed second. Do you remember?
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, there were guys that were on that fringe. I had a chance to play with Tim a few times, Kevin Johnson a few times. They tended to be a little bit more shoot-first guys, but boy, were they great passers. Great teammates, great at just about everything. And so, they couldn't be just characterized, well, kind of like the guys today. These guys are great passers as well. But those are two, at least in the West, that really stick out. I think Isaiah Thomas had his moments where he was that way as well.
When did you realize that Donovan Mitchell was going to be the real deal?
You always doubt that. You hear it from people that are rookies, and you say, "Oh, this guy's the real deal." I mean, I've heard it 1,000 times, and you go, "Yeah, okay, yeah, wait till wait till next time, or whatever." But the kid is really special. He's special in his demeanor. He's special in his comments for a guy his age. He's special in his play and his confidence and his memory, his lack of memory, I guess, when things don't go so great. I just when did I start noticing it? Probably about 2 months after people started saying it.
It took you that long?
Yeah, I think so. Because you doubt it.
Yeah,
absolutely doubt it.
Can you see if you're going to go most unstoppable offensive players of all time? Now, just offense. Now, let's take Kareem out of the equation here. The most unstoppable offensive players of all time. Who would you put on that? Who would be in your top five?
Well, number one is, and I don't know why you mentioned Kareem already. And
all right, we'll take Michael out. We'll take Michael out then too. Okay. Right.
Well, what about Wilt Chamberlain? I mean, is there even a second place? Okay. I mean, it's they changed rules for that guy.
So all right. How about since 1980?
All right. A little bit tougher.
Okay.
And Michael was certainly in that. I don't think guys could stop Karl Malone. I don't think they could stop him today. He played within a system, but when it came down to it, you just couldn't stop the guy. I didn't see Elgin Baylor play. I know you said since 1980, but he was special. Watching these young guys, I think that's where you're getting at is just watching Harding. It seems like he might be in that category. I'm sure there's others, Dan, but that's hard for me to queue up.
But Harden, it feels like, is unstoppable, John.
It sure does.
I mean,
just in watching him, he doesn't miss shots. He doesn't miss layups. He goes to the free throw line seemingly at will. Doesn't miss free throws. I know. That's kind of the impression I get.
What was your welcome to the NBA moment? You remember?
Well, my very first game Larry Drew picked me right mid-court. I dribbled up the court, and we were in Kansas City, and he just took it from me. And it wasn't very crowded, and some guy in the stands yelled CBA, Stockton CBA, and I went, wow, welcome to the big time.
Did anybody ever talk trash to you?
I was told they did. I didn't notice it. I mean, I've been told that I was fairly focused, and I'm sure guys did. And I also remember a guy yelling at me one game because I didn't respond to his trash talking, and he just kept yelling, "Talk to me!" And then all of a sudden it occurred to me that he had been talking to me. So anyway, I think I missed out on a lot.
Was that Jordan who was saying, "Talk to me"?
No, actually, he didn't talk much. We had one exchange in our entire careers, and our careers matched up. We came in the same years, et cetera, but we only had really one exchange, a fairly heated one, but it wasn't really trash talking that I recall.
What was that about, that heated exchange?
Oh, there was a foul going on. I mean, there was I think Randy Brown was in the game at the time, and Michael took offense to something that went in there, and he checked himself in, and then we had the very next play, and he got a foul, and he said something as he was walking back to the bench, and I said something back again. You kind of, things fade over time, so I've forgotten the actual details, but that was it.
Yeah, because Jordan, I think, is saying you play dirty to you.
No, I felt more respect for Michael than that, frankly. I mean, he played as hard as anybody and as physically as anybody, and I never sensed those types of comments from him ever.
Bird never said anything?
Well, he did, but not to me. I remember as a rookie, he came in, he walked by our bench at the Salt Palace and said, "I feel like 43 tonight." And he came out, he scored 43 in the third quarter and checked himself out with a 20-point victory, and I was fairly impressed with that one.
So he just picks a random number, I feel like 43. And he says it to the bench?
Yeah. It was fairly impressive, especially when he backed it up.
Did you ever feel like you could have one of those nights where you could get 50?
Not in the NBA. I felt Summer League. I felt it a couple times back here in Spokane. Yeah. But no, it was back to the pass first thing. It wasn't the way I was wired. Seldom do you get those many shot opportunities when you're I guess looking for passes and opportunities to get other guys involved. But no, never even considered it.
He's John Stockton, the Hall of Famer, 10-time NBA All-Star. Did you ever play a pickup game and not tell anybody who you were?
Oh, well, I never told anybody. No, I didn't. I played in very few pickup games after I was in with the Jazz that I didn't initiate. It was my key to the gym or whatever. But no, it's not something I would tell people anyway. Hey, do you know who I am?
No. Well, no. Like, did you ever show up at a playground, like drive by and you just show up and then, like, you never did that?
I'm trying to think. I could see myself doing that with a couple of little kids, maybe out in the playground. I wouldn't do it in a real game. I think that is a recipe for disaster. But maybe a couple little kids somewhere along the line, I might have done that.
I try to tell kids or parents of kids little things. We had Ray Allen on the other day, and Ray brought up what he used to do, and you see this with Steph Curry. He practices shots, off-balance shots he's going to take in the game instead of everybody just stands there and shoots jumpers and going, man, I got a great shot. When you're in the moment, that's when we want to find out what you can do. What is your advice on playing the point guard position or, passing or whatever in general that you can pass on to kids or their parents?
Well, first of all, passing is probably the hardest thing to practice on your own. What are you going to do, throw it to the wall? And we do some of that. You run down the length of a wall and you throw behind the back passes to yourself as you're running. I mean, I think anytime you're handling the ball, you're improving those things, but you can't necessarily improve the vision and the anticipation and some of the nuances that come with it. But shooting for sure. I remember even Coach Few with Gonzaga here. He'd watch me do my shooting over the course of the summer. He said, "Why aren't you practicing those things?" Things in the paint, off balance, off one leg, underhanded, spinnies, things like that. I say because they come into play, not all the time, but it may be a big time when you need it. And that's something I pretty much live by. It's you have to practice odd things.
Could you have been a quarterback in football?
Not knowing how tough that is, and I did play quarterback growing up, and I loved it. I was so tiny that I couldn't see over the line very well, and the hits hurt. But I think I got a little bit bigger, older, and I do think I could have played that position. I think I like how things move out there, and you kind of read those types of activities, and it would have been fun to try if nobody hit you.
But that's what I was wondering, though. Do you see the field the way, like Tom Brady does? Do you see the floor the way he sees the field? Do you have to see it? Less people, but is there any similarity with that?
I sure think so. People turning their heads, the direction of their bodies as they're running. You throw people open. You throw it where they aren't, so to speak. Your guy can get to a spot, the defense can't. That's where you throw it. So, yeah, I think there has to be some similarities. Has to be.
What was it like when Magic was bringing the ball up the floor, when somebody's 6'9", and he's playing the same position as you?
Well, first, I had a chance to watch him, as a young kid, high school, whatever, and everybody idolized him, and we were all copying his moves in the driveway and things like that. And then I had a chance to play against him, and for me, he was one of the most difficult guys just for me to guard. He was so big, and 6'9" is probably an understatement, by the way, but he just kind of turned his body and kept you on his hip and oversaw everything, and yet he had moves and could get corners on you, could get by you, and once he got by you, it was over. And then obviously his vision and passing was second to none. Really special guy, special player.
Who was the toughest guy to guard?
Well, a lot of rookies were tough to guard as a general rule, but guys out west, guys that we played every day. I mentioned Kevin Johnson, Tim Hardaway, later on Gary Payton. Out back east, Isaiah Thomas, Mark Price. They're just a lot of great players and great challenges. But Magic Johnson, again, because of the size, we usually guarded him with Bobby Hansen, our two guard, and I'd guard someone else, whoever was smaller at the time, Byron Scott usually.
But you were talking about it's tough to guard rookies because you don't have a book on them? There's no scouting report?
Yeah, they've seen you a lot, typically. A lot of those guys coming out usually have seen all the NBA guys a lot, so they kind of know you. They're frothed up. They're ready to go and kind of have a little chip on their shoulder, have something to prove, and they're pretty good, So it was always a challenge when you saw the new guys coming around, I thought. Would
the Utah Jazz have been a better team with today's rules, with spreading the floor instead of, it feels like it was a two-man game inside, outside, and, having big men? You had guys who could shoot, but would you be better equipped for today's game, or were you better suited for, back when you played?
As a team, both ways. I think our stuff would work now. I mean, I think it's not in vogue, certainly, but to have to guard a team over picks, to have to guard them for the full clock, to then have to deal with a guy like Karl Malone at the end of it, I think people would have trouble playing against a team like us now. I think they have lots of troubles with it. I've had people ask me a lot. They say, "Man, you couldn't even play in today's game," and because people can't, you can't touch people, you can't do this. I said, well, no, but they can't touch us either. And so, I confidently, I'm an old guy now. I couldn't guard anybody now, so it feels helpless. But, I think there's a place for guys that figure it out in their era to play in almost any era. And that goes back to the, Bill Russell, Cousy days. I think those guys, you put them in our game, and even though the films wouldn't indicate it, I think they'd figure it out just like we did.
Yeah, but so you have people who don't think you could play in today's game, right?
I had people thinking that I couldn't play when I was playing. And now. So, absolutely.
Yeah, you're still fighting, John. They still, you're a Hall of Famer, and you still have to prove that you can play. I feel bad for you.
Thank God I don't have to prove it anymore. It's just, it is what it is.
Did you keep the short shorts? Do you have, it's one thing to keep a uniform, but did you keep your short shorts?
Yeah, every once in a while. In fact, I had one, my son Michael played ball over in Europe with George Karl.
Yeah.
And somehow he got a hold of some old shorts of mine, and Kobe returned them after, 25 years. And so we've got a pair floating around the house right now.
I think they should have Stockton shorts night with the Jazz maybe next season.
Well, I'll get you in touch with the PR department, and maybe you can have some pull with them. But I think short shorts are coming back anyway. They're comfortable. I mean, I could never stand the long shorts, and I think guys are coming out once it becomes uncool again. They'll notice they're comfortable and start wearing them.
All right, so you're in though, John. If I can get John Stockton shorts night, I got to get it figured out here, John. But you're in, and you'll wear your.
But I'm in.
You'll wear your shorts.
Well, that might be pushing it a little bit. Yeah.
Come on, we'll
shoot. Take a picture of that, and it doesn't. I don't look quite as good in them as I used to. Maybe I don't know.
Hey, have fun during the postseason here, and hopefully David's doing well. Thanks for joining us, John.
I appreciate you asking. Thanks, Dan.
That's John Stockton, 10-time NBA All-Star, Hall of Famer.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.